Usually, when someone's summoned into another world, their class turns out to be a hero, and their destiny is to save the world from the demon lord. But Oda Akira isn't that kind of guy. He's the kind of person people forget is even there. His quiet, unassuming nature, though, turns out to be his greatest strength. Because when his entire class gets swept away into a fantasy world, Akira slips easily into a new role, one nobody expected, the silent assassin. Our story begins on a stormy night. Somewhere in the darkness, an assassin was on a mission, his blade ready for blood. But then, a chill ran down his spine. He felt a presence behind him, a presence so silent, so suffocating, that his instincts screamed danger. When he turned, he saw him, the silent assassin. Realizing escape was impossible, the assassin drew his weapons and attacked. Needles flew through the rain, but Akira's body moved faster than sight. He used a skill to evade them, leaping down from the shadows. Their blades clashed on a rooftop, sparks flying between raindrops. In a single motion, Akira disarmed his opponent, but the assassin quickly drew a hidden dagger and lunged. Yet the moment the blade should have connected, Akira vanished. A heartbeat later, he appeared behind him. What followed wasn't a fight, it was a dismantling. Akira broke his leg, stabbed his elbow, and before the man could even scream, his own blade returned to finish him. With the threat eliminated, Akira moved swiftly into the mansion. Inside, his target slept peacefully, unaware of the shadow closing in. The silent assassin raised his blade, ready to strike. Then time seemed to rewind. We go back to before Akira ever came to this world, in an ordinary classroom. Students were chatting and laughing. Tsukasa, the class president, was busy with his paperwork, while the kind-hearted Shirori helped others with theirs. Nearby, Asahina noticed Akira quietly reading a light novel. Nane sneaked up behind him and asked what he was reading. Without looking up, Akira said he just read whatever he could find for free. Nane asked him to recommend something good next time, then left. To Akira, conversations always felt like mini-crises, but the real crisis was just about to begin. Suddenly, Akira's phone glitched, and a glowing magic circle appeared beneath the entire class. In an instant, the room was gone. When they opened their eyes, they were standing in a grand castle. A voice echoed, and an old man appeared, telling them the king wished to speak. Before long, he introduced himself as the ruler of the Retis Kingdom, the largest nation on the human continent of Morrigan. He explained that the kingdom was at war with the demon lord, and that only a hero summoned from another world could save them. Akira's mind went blank. He'd read this exact setup in countless stories, but never thought he'd live one. To identify the hero among them. Each student was told to place their hand on a magic crystal and silently think the word status. The first student tried it and got the class animal trainer. The second, Yuki disenchanter, another one Tomoya, got knight. Shirori turned out to be a healer. The old man explained that everyone could see their own status without the crystal as well. Nanes checked and got wind mage. Curious, he asked Akira about his. Reluctantly, Akira replied that he was an assassin. But when Akira looked at his stats, something didn't add up. His numbers were far higher than anyone else's. His skill Conceal Presence was already maxed out. Finally, Tsukasa, the class president, stepped up. When he touched the crystal, the words, "Chosen Hero," appeared, and everyone cheered. It made sense. Tsukasa was smart, athletic, popular. The old man praised him, noting that even at level 1, his attack power was double that of ordinary people, but Akira couldn't focus. His anxiety grew as he realized his own stats were far beyond even Tsukasa's. Something was wrong. Not wanting to draw attention, he quietly activated Conceal Presence. Even Nanes, standing beside him, couldn't sense him anymore. When everyone finished, they were escorted to their rooms for the night. Still cloaked, Akira followed at a distance. On the way, he noticed something hidden in the ceiling, a small orb. A surveillance camera. His suspicions deepened. The king was hiding something. But what Akira didn't know was that someone had already sensed him despite his concealment. In his room, Akira found a set of clothes and basic supplies. Deciding to investigate, he slipped out into the night. For the first time, he saw the city beneath the stars, beautiful, alien, alive. He scaled a tower and used his concealment to eavesdrop on the king and the princess. He heard the king ordering her never to let the heroes near the royal archives, lest they learn too much. After the princess left, Akira considered assassinating him right there. But in the end, he couldn't. He lowered his blade and disappeared into the night. The next morning at breakfast, Akira thought about revealing everything he'd overheard, but decided against it. Nobody would believe him. Then Tsukasa stood up, announcing that since they'd already been summoned, he wanted to grow stronger and defeat the Demon Lord. The others agreed without hesitation. Akira couldn't believe how blindly they trusted the king. Later that day, they were introduced to their instructors, the Knight Commander, Saran Matrai, and his vice, Gillis. Saran informed them that in 1 month, they'd enter the great labyrinth of Cantonin. Until then, they would train. But while the others sparred, Akira slipped away to gather more intel. It didn't take long before Saran found him. Out for a walk, he asked casually. Akira froze. His concealment was still active. How could this man see him? Saran smiled and explained that his eyes could perceive heat signatures. He assured Akira that he wouldn't report him to the king. Curious and cautious, Akira asked why. Saran sighed and said it was complicated. When Akira admitted he wanted to learn more about this world, its magic, its skills, Saran agreed to teach him. In exchange, he wanted to hear about Akira's world, and so their secret mentorship began. While Gillis oversaw the other students' training, Saran personally trained Akira, testing, refining, and pushing him beyond limits. One night, Gillis confronted Saran, annoyed that he was spending all his time on Akira. Saran revealed that Akira's concealed presence was maxed out, a feat only achieved once before by the first hero. Gillis was stunned. Right then, Akira entered, holding an old book. He handed it to Saran, explaining he'd found it in the royal archives. When Saran opened it, he smiled faintly. It was one of his own, disguised as a cookbook. Inside were encrypted plans for a coup. Saran's expression turned grim. He told Akira that the king was trying to rewrite the world's laws, a pursuit that would demand unimaginable sacrifice. But the knights owed a blood debt to the royal family, leaving Saran powerless to act. Akira then confessed that on the night of their summoning, he'd tried to kill the king but couldn't go through with it. Saran commended him, saying that sparing a life was the right choice. Even if his class was assassin, he wasn't bound to kill. Akira felt a strange relief. For the first time, he admitted he didn't want to return to his world as a murderer. When Akira asked why Saran was helping him, Saran replied, "Because you didn't just go with the flow. You questioned the story." Akira felt embarrassed by the praise. Saran chuckled and joked that Akira could help him with his coup before going home. Time passed quickly. After a month, their training came to an end, and the heroes were sent to challenge the great labyrinth of Cantonin. The people of Retis gathered to cheer them on, but Akira felt a piercing gaze from the crowd. He followed it and found a cloaked girl glaring at him. When he asked why, she replied coldly that heroes knew nothing of the sacrifices made to summon them. Then she leaves, saying to find her after he discovered the truth for himself. Inside the labyrinth, the group fought hordes of monsters. When one student accidentally triggered a trap, even more enemies flooded in. Akira urged retreat, and Saran agreed. Channeling divine power into his blade, he unleashed a flash of holy lightning that carved a path for escape. But as they fled, another horde appeared. Remembering the smoke bomb the princess had given him, Tsukasa threw it to keep the monsters away, but instead, it summoned something far worse, a towering minotaur. When Akira and the others arrived, they found Tsukasa wounded. Akira rushed in, dodging the beast's attacks and striking its neck, but his dagger shattered against its hide. He fell back, barely landing on his feet. Tsukasa tried to stand, insisting he must protect them as the hero, but Akira stopped him. "We've trained for a month," he said. "You're not alone anymore." Tsukasa faltered, burdened by guilt. Akira quickly ordered Yuki to use her dispel magic on him. When she did, a dark curse broke free from Tsukasa's body. Akira shouted, then ran to Saran. "It's time," he said. Saran smirked, drew his sword, and raised it high. "Then let's end this." He called upon his divine skill, lightning's flash, striking the Minotaur with a blinding surge of power. And as the monster's body convulsed in paralysis, Akira vanished into its shadow, activating his own skill, shadow magic. And from that moment on, the silent assassin finally embraced his name. Akira activates his shadow magic, and a dark figure appears at his feet. He channels it into the Minotaur, piercing the beast all over its body before reeling it into the darkness. But then, Akira's magic suddenly goes out of control. His own shadows surge violently, threatening to consume him. Just as he starts to lose control, Saran appears and helps stabilize his power. Once the storm calms, Akira thanks him for the assist. Back from the dungeon, Saran and Akira discuss the strange nature of his shadow magic. Saran admits he's never heard of such a skill before. It's powerful, but incredibly unstable. Akira agrees, acknowledging how hard it is to control. Setting that aside, Saran presents him with a katana forged by the first hero. Since the current hero already wields a holy sword, he wants Akira to have something worthy. More importantly, he warns him to hide it well, because he stole it straight from the royal armory. Akira draws the blade and sees the name engraved on it, Yado no Kami, alongside a message wishing that the sword finds its successor and guides him in his hour of need. Akira then informs Saran that the curse afflicting the hero still refuses to be dispelled. Hearing that, Saran's expression darkens. He already suspects who the cursor might be. That night, the princess stands before a cursed object, whispering venom at Tsukasa, calling him a false hero. Suddenly, Akira appears behind her, destroys the object, and seizes it. The princess demands to know why he entered her chambers uninvited, but Akira points his blade at her throat, telling her no true lady uses curses. Only a witch does. When he demands to know why she's doing it, she answers coldly that everything she does is for the king. Seeing no benefit in pressing further, Akira retreats. After he leaves, the princess reveals several more curse objects hidden across the room, each targeting someone else. Meanwhile, Akira brings the destroyed curse to Saran, frustrated that the king still hasn't given up. He tells Saran that even after confronting the princess, risking his own identity, she wouldn't give a straight answer. Saran sighs, revealing that the princess is just a pawn to the king now. He warns Akira not to stay in the castle that night, since she'll likely curse the rest of their classmates next. Hearing that, Akira wishes his real world had people like Saran. Half-jokingly, Saran says Akira should take him there when he returns home, making Akira immediately take it back with a smirk. The next morning, Akira wakes to the sound of chaos outside. He rushes out to see Tsukasa standing over a lifeless body, Commander Saran's. Akira is frozen in shock. Before he can process it, his classmates start accusing him of murder, claiming the dagger used to stab Saran is his. Akira argues that his dagger shattered in the dungeon, but no one listens. He quickly realizes that the princess's curse has taken hold of them. Even Tsukasa tries to defend him, but the king declares Akira guilty and orders his execution. Realizing he's been set up, Akira vanishes using his concealment skill and escapes the knights. He then seeks out Vice Captain Gillis, who informs him that the Real killers are the king's assassins, the Night Ravens, and that they're now hunting him. Gillis tells him to take the provisions Saran left behind and flee the kingdom. With a heavy heart, Akira gathers Saran's belongings and leaves the kingdom behind. That night, the princess reports to the king that she successfully cursed everyone except the hero, and that they're now ready to declare war on the east. The king orders her to send the Night Ravens after Akira to ensure he's eliminated. Meanwhile, Akira hides deep within the dungeon, remembering Saran's advice that it's the safest place to vanish. He recalls their conversations about how the monsters grow stronger with each level and how concealment won't fool beasts with heightened senses. Day after day, Akira trains relentlessly, honing his assassination skills and pushing deeper underground to reach level 100. Every 10 floors, he faces a powerful boss, often getting knocked down but always rising again. Using his shadow magic, he overwhelms them one by one. Eventually, exhaustion catches up and he collapses. Just before losing consciousness, he hears a strange voice disabling his magic and healing his body. Meanwhile, back at the kingdom, Tsukasa gathers his cursed classmates and insists they leave the city. Most refuse, still under the princess's control. Only Asahina, Yuki, and Cheyenne agree to follow. Others followed afterwards too. Surprisingly, they encounter no resistance when leaving. Tsukasa asks why they chose to come, and Yuki explains that everyone who followed him seems to be free from the curse. Asahina adds that his hazy memory recalls breaking crystal shards in an unfamiliar room while holding a katana. Though he has no idea where it came from the shadows, Gillis watches the heroes group depart, relieved that his manipulation magic was strong enough to free them. Asahina, however, quietly regrets not siding with Akira. Curse or not, a flashback shows Asahina returning home from school, stumbling upon Akira working at a construction site. Akira begs him to keep it secret, especially from his sister, who attends the same school as a first year. Asahina agrees and is shocked to learn Akira even has a sister. When he shows Akira a picture of his own, both are surprised to find that their sisters are actually friends. Deep within the dungeon, Akira awakens, surprised to feel no pain. He checks his status window and is stunned. His HP is nearly full, and his shadow magic has jumped from level 3 to 5. Though confused, he presses onward, descending to floor 75. There, a slime suddenly drops from the ceiling. Akira reacts instantly, slashing it apart, only to watch an elf girl emerge from its dissolving body. He activates a new skill called World Eyes, and a flood of information pours into his mind. The data surge nearly overwhelms him, forcing him to cancel the skill before his head explodes. The elf awakens, disoriented. Akira notes that her HP is critically low, barely 2%, and that she possesses the same skill as him. When she asks where they are, he tells her they're on floor 75 before she collapses again. Concerned, Akira carries her to a safer spot on floor 69. Later, she wakes up starving. Akira smiles and offers her water, then food, which she devours like she hasn't eaten in days. When she finishes, she asks why they're on floor 69 instead of 75. Akira explains that he moved her closer to a water source. She warns him not to touch her inappropriately since she's of royal blood, and Akira quickly assures her he's not interested, telling her to get some rest. They'll need it tomorrow. The next day, they travel together, helping each other clear floors until they reach level 80. There, they find the boss chamber and enter. Inside awaits a massive dragon. The elf uses gravity magic to restrain it while Akira conceals his presence. To strike, but the dragon senses him and sends him flying. The elf shouts for him to diffuse his mana to avoid detection. Not fully understanding, Akira improvises. He manipulates the surrounding shadows, confusing the dragon before striking from above. The final blow lands clean, and the dragon collapses. Impressed, the elf asks how he did it, and Akira replies that he simply drew power from the ambient mana around them. She's stunned that he can even do that. But before they can rest, the dragon's body begins to glow, signaling that their next challenge is just about to begin. The dragon shifts form, its massive frame collapsing inward until what remains is a giant blue cat. Amelia activates her world eye, and the truth becomes clear. The creature is a shapeshifter. That explains everything. A true dragon wouldn't have gone down so easily. Akira watches her in awe, impressed by how naturally she wields that skill. Amelia tilts her head and asks why he hasn't used his own yet. Akira admits his level is too low to use it properly, but Amelia disagrees. She believes he's subconsciously rejecting the skill. Before Akira can answer, the black cat stirs and speaks in a calm, tired voice. He laments his defeat, brought down by a mere human and an elf, even after taking on a dragon's form. Akira freezes, stunned to hear the creature talk. The cat notices and huffs, offended. "Don't lump me in with those mindless beasts," he says, his golden eyes narrowing. "I was created by the demon lord himself, a being of superior intellect." Akira's tone hardens. "That doesn't matter. You're still finished." The cat shrugs, unbothered by his fate. "I don't care about dying," he murmurs. "But I do have a message for you, Akira. The demon lord awaits you in his castle, deep within the demon continent of Volcano." That statement jolts Akira. How does he know about me? He demands. And why does he want me to come to him? The cat gives a small, knowing smile. "The demon lord's mind is beyond your understanding. I can't say more." Then he lies down, weary. "Now end it. Do what you came here to do." Akira hesitates. "No," the cat chuckles. "Stop pretending to be noble. Humans always see demons and monsters as enemies." "Not me," Akira replies. "My only enemies are the king and his kind. You're not one of them." Amelia interjects, reminding him that the boss room door won't open unless the boss dies. Or they do. The cat agrees, amused. "So what's your plan, human? Starve to death here?" Akira folds his arms. "I don't want to kill you. You can talk. That means there's more to you than instinct. There must be another way out." Amelia's eyes light up. "There is," she recalls. "If you form a pact with him, make him your familiar, the system will stop recognizing him as a boss monster. The door will open." The cat bursts out laughing. "That's impossible. Only a skilled mage with absolute mana control could manage that ritual. He doesn't have it." Amelia smirks. "You're wrong. Akira already detached his mana during your fight. Even the first hero struggled with that. He surpassed the limit." Akira raises an eyebrow. "What happens if I fail?" The cat's tone darkens. Then one of us dies. Or both. Akira doesn't flinch. I'll take that risk. The cat blinks, baffled. You're insane. Fine, do it. I don't care anymore. His apathy angers Akira. You really don't care if you live or die? Living brings no joy, the cat replies flatly. Then I'll change that, Akira says. But first, how do I start? Amelia explains softly. Give him a new name. Akira studies the cat's dark fur, sleek as midnight. Your name is Night, he says. The cat doesn't react. Amelia nods toward the next step. Now pour your mana into his paw. Once you start, there's no going back. Akira presses his hand to Night's paw and channels his mana. Instantly, a surge of energy slams into him, drowning his senses. His vision twists, and suddenly he's falling through flames. Below, a burning city screams in chaos. Night stands at the center, massive and feral, tearing through anyone who moves. Night, stop. Akira yells. But the cat attacks, his claws dripping with dark mana. Pain sears through Akira's body, both in the dream and the real world. Night's voice echoes. Kill me, Akira. It's the only way out. Akira refuses. I won't. Night lunges again. His claws slash deep, and Akira's blood spills. Gritting his teeth, Akira rushes forward. But instead of dodging, he lets the claws pierce him. Night's eyes widen. What the hell are you doing? I told you, Akira gasps. I don't want to kill you. You don't want to kill anyone either. Night growls. I'm a monster. My instincts. Then don't fight them alone. Akira interrupts, gripping his claws. I'll watch over you. You're not alone anymore. The burning city flickers. Light seeps into the dreamscape as the darkness fades. Night shrinks back to his smaller form and rests in Akira's arms, purring faintly. The rising sun paints the world in peace. The first warmth Night has felt in ages. When Akira opens his eyes, the ritual is complete. A golden mark glows on his hand, mirrored by a golden sigil on Night's forehead. Amelia smiles in relief. It worked. Your souls are linked. Night stretches and looks at his new master. Fine, he says with a small grin. Let's see how far you'll go, human. He bows. I swear my life to your service. Amelia introduces herself, and Night nods respectfully. Then you have my respect too, companion of my master. A magic circle appears beneath them, the sign of the boss's defeat. Akira glances at it, thoughtful. We could move to the next floor now, but you're wounded. Night shakes his head. The door will stay open. No need to rush. Amelia suggests they rest and learn more about each other. Night immediately agrees, his personality softening. Akira stifles a laugh. You changed fast. Meanwhile, Sato and his party finally reach a new land, a country founded by a hero summoned from Earth. The sight stuns them. The architecture, the streets, even the food stalls resemble old Japan. For the first time since their summoning, they feel a sense of home. As they settle in, Sato brings up their situation. We're nearly broke, he sighs. We've got a month before we're sleeping on the streets. One of the boys suggests becoming adventurers, the most practical job for them, and Sato agrees. Then he turns to strategy. We need information. Find someone who knows this world inside out. Books, scrolls, anything. A quiet voice murmurs. Maybe there's a book that tells us how to return to Earth. Sato shakes his head. Our best shot is defeating the Demon Lord. Only the king and princess might know how to send us back, and we'll need to win their favor first. He declares that once they're strong enough, they'll head for the demon continent. Asahi frowns. We shouldn't go without Akira. He's growing stronger, faster than any of us. We'll need him. Some agree. Others mutter that Akira might have killed Commander Saren. The tension builds until the girls intervene, urging calm. Everyone turns to Sato for a decision. He sighs. Asahi's right. Akira's stronger than we are, but working with him won't be easy. He's distant. We were classmates since kindergarten, and he doesn't even remember me. Shock ripples through the group. Sato continues. The legends say only the hero's holy sword can slay the demon lord. That means I need to become strong enough to do it. Until then, we train. Here, back in the dungeon, Amelia shares her story with Akira and Night. Her voice trembles as she recalls how her own sister betrayed her, driving her out of their homeland. Cornered on a cliff, she used gravity magic to survive the fall into a raging river. Wounded and weak, she was swallowed by a black slime, and then woke up in the dungeon, rescued by Akira. Akira frowns at the cruelty of her tale. Night, however, questions it. Slimes don't eat people, he says. And if one had, you'd be digested by now. Amelia shrugs. I don't know, but I'm grateful. That slime led me to you. Akira suggests she return home and reconcile with her sister, but Amelia shakes her head. It's too late. Maybe not, he says gently. Family always finds a way. I've got a sister too. Cheeky, but I'd do anything for her. Amelia and Knight glance at each other. You want to go back to your world? She asks. Yeah. Akira replies quietly. But first, there's something I have to do. He speaks of Saren, the man who taught him how to survive here. His voice tightens with rage. The king and princess had him assassinated. I'll kill them both. His aura flares, thick with killing intent. Amelia flinches. Knight steps back. Akira. Amelia shouts, pulling him out of the fury. He exhales slowly, regaining control. To ease the tension, he pulls out a glove and tosses it playfully. Knight's instincts kick in, and he chases it immediately. Akira grins. Still works. Cats are cats. Amelia laughs and joins in, petting Knight's soft fur. Knight protests. This is no time for games. Our souls are linked. If one dies, the other does too. Akira chuckles. I know. I'm just happy my familiar's a cat. Amelia sighs. I'm jealous. I love cats too. When the laughter fades, they prepare to leave. Akira asks where the teleportation circle will take them, but Knight shakes his head. No clue. Only a few demons still know how to make those. Akira smirks. Then I'll find them. Make them work for me. Amelia recalls an old tale. Pale blue circles take travelers to the place they most desire. If several people step in, it reacts to one person's wish, she warns. Akira nods. That could be a problem. Amelia smiles softly. I don't care where it takes us, as long as it's with you. He doesn't answer. His thoughts drift to his family, then to his vengeance. One must wait for the other. As they step into the circle, light engulfs them. When it fades, they find themselves in a vast forest beneath a towering, luminous tree. Amelia's eyes widen in shock. Knight identifies it instantly, the world tree. Before they can process it, an arrow whistles through the air. Akira reacts on instinct, pulling Amelia aside just in time. He deflects the next arrow with his dagger, dashes forward, and tackles the archer to the ground. Amelia gasps. Liam. The elf glares at her. Traitor. Run while you still can. Akira knocks him unconscious, but it's too late. The forest rustles, and they're surrounded. At the front stands Amelia's sister, Kilika, bow in hand and fury in her eyes. So, Kilika says coldly, You've returned, dear sister. Then die where you stand. In a flashback, Amelia goes out for a walk and ends up watching Rose train with the knights. She's impressed when Rose manages to disarm all of them, but her attendant reminds her that she's the one who'll be leading them one day. However, things soon take a turn when her fiancé, Liam, suddenly decides to call off their engagement. Rose tells Amelia it's because she's a child of Blight, and before long, Amelia finds herself accused of an unforgivable sin. Back in the present, Akira wonders what Amelia could have done. Rose steps forward and claims that Amelia poisoned her, though Amelia insists she only gave her a potion, not knowing it was tainted. Rose demands Akira hand Amelia over, using her mesmerize skill to control him, but Amelia gets furious and tells her sister to lift the spell so Akira can choose for himself. Rose freezes, surprised to see Amelia angry for the first time. Yet Akira reveals that he was never affected. Yoru explains that the skill doesn't work on anyone above Rose's level. Rose refuses to believe Akira is stronger than her, but he calmly tells her to drop the false charges, knowing Amelia isn't the type to lie or deceive. Instead, Rose orders the other elves to attack. Akira gets ready to fight, but before anyone moves, the king appears and commands them to stop. Rose is shocked since he was supposed to be away, and he immediately asks what's going on. The other elves try to defend her, claiming Amelia committed a crime, but the king quickly realizes they've all been charmed by Rose's mesmerize. He orders her to release them. Turning to Amelia, the king promises to make things right, though he tells Akira to leave. Amelia protests, saying Akira was the one who saved her, but the king insists that outsiders are forbidden in their realm. When Amelia offers to leave with him, he forbids it, reminding her that she's the one destined to succeed him. Akira steps in, saying Amelia should decide for herself, even going as far as to threaten the king. The king recalls that Akira once defeated Liam and challenges him to a duel, declaring that whoever wins will decide Amelia's fate. He chooses Rose to fight in his place and arranges for the battle to be held before the holy tree. As they walk there, Amelia apologizes for dragging Akira into the mess, but he says it was his own choice. Curious, he asks why they call her a child of Blight. Amelia explains that in ancient legends, twins born with one looking different from their parents were believed to bring calamity to the land. Yoru adds that the legend was dismissed long ago as mere superstition, assuming Rose used it out of jealousy. Akira smiles, saying he finds Amelia's hair beautiful. When they reach the holy tree, Akira chooses not to conceal his presence so everyone can witness his victory. Amelia warns him that Rose is the strongest swordsman among the elves, which surprises him to hear her praise her so much. Amelia simply says that despite everything, Rose is still her precious little sister. As the duel begins, Rose is shocked that Akira doesn't draw his sword. He calmly tells her he doesn't want to kill her by accident. The king gives the signal, and Rose immediately attacks. Akira dodges her strikes with ease and pushes her back. Feeling mocked, Rose infuses her blade with wind magic and unleashes a powerful blast, but Akira swiftly evades it. He closes the distance, sweeps her legs, and knocks her to the ground, asking if she's had enough. He tells her Amelia still believes in her and hopes they can make peace, but Rose yells that Amelia stole everything from her. She charges again, forcing Akira to retreat, yet her magic begins spiraling out of control. Akira orders Yoru to protect Amelia. Another flashback reveals Rose admiring Amelia's hair when they were younger. But everything changed when Amelia's class was revealed to be a legendary spirit medium. She became the center of attention, while Rose was forgotten. Desperate, Rose vowed to take back what was hers. Amelia begs her to stop, and Liam hands her a sacred branch of the holy tree to help. Using it, Amelia purifies the area, freeing everyone from Rose's control. Realizing she's lost, Rose prepares one final strike. Akira sees that dodging would let the attack hit the people behind him, so he activates his shadow magic and devours the wind itself. The darkness threatens to consume Rose too, but Akira pulls it back just in time, and it coats his own body instead. She refuses to accept defeat and charges again, but Akira blocks her and sends her flying. Shaken, Rose imagines Amelia and Liam laughing at her downfall. Amelia assures her that Liam was never under her spell, but Rose doesn't believe it, insisting Amelia punish her however she wishes. That's when the king steps in, confessing that it was he who erased Rose's memories. He admits Amelia never took anything from her. Giving her memories back, he reveals that Rose once sought strength to protect everyone. She ventured into a dungeon where a mysterious figure handed her an orb that lured monsters, promising it would make her stronger. But when she used it, too many monsters appeared. Overwhelmed, she tried to escape, yet the monsters followed her outside, something that should have been impossible. Determined to protect the town, Rose stood her ground, and Liam rushed in with his knights to help, only to be fatally stabbed by a goblin. Overcome by despair, Rose lost herself in guilt. To save her sanity, the king erased her memories. Amelia, however, created resurrection magic and brought Liam back. But after that, Rose became distant, believing everyone was pitying her. The king explains that hiding the truth only built a wall between them. His plan was to let her grow stronger through the duel before revealing everything, but he adds that when Liam was revived, a leaf from the holy tree fused with his body, making him immune to Rose's mesmerize. He had hoped this would help them reconcile, but instead, Amelia was exiled. Realizing her mistakes, Rose breaks down, blaming herself for turning against the sister who always cared for her. Amelia comforts her, calling her kind and forgiving. At last, the sisters make peace. Later, a feast is held, and Akira reminds the king that he technically won the duel, meaning Amelia is free to do as she pleases. The king asks where Akira plans to go next, and he replies that Yoru mentioned the Beastmen continent, a place known for its craftsmanship and weapons. Amelia immediately decides to go with him, no matter where he ends up. Meanwhile, aboard a ship, Tsukasa and the others sail toward the same continent. That Tsukasa apologizes to Asusher for not waiting for Akira, but he explains that their goal is the same, to enhance their weapons. And just like that, their paths are set to cross again. The next day, Amelia says goodbye to her sister after finally resolving their differences. Even Akira wishes Liam the best, though he gets embarrassed when the king mentions that everyone already knows who he truly loves, and yet, no one holds it against him. The king then announces that he'll send soldiers to escort them, since several disappearances have been reported near the coast. But when Akira sees that everyone's eager to join, he tells them it's not necessary. A few hours later, as they travel by carriage, Akira chats with Knight, surprised that he didn't say a word in front of the king. Knight simply replies that he didn't want to cause any more problems than he already has. Meanwhile, Akira asks if acting that way might bring him trouble with the Demon King, since he's certain the Demon King can see through Knight's eyes. Knight confirms it, but adds that he's now sworn loyalty to Akira and that the Demon King himself has shown interest in meeting him, so there's no need to worry. Akira then says that if they ever have to fight the Demon King, he believes things will turn out differently. But Amelia, ever the optimist, says she could probably get along well with him, and Knight agrees. Since the Demon King likely became curious after seeing Akira's shadow technique against Kalika, a power few can control, Akira admits it was mostly improvised, but before they can say more, he senses hostile presences nearby and orders the carriage to stop immediately. They spot a group of bandits ahead, threatening to kill the girl they're holding if anyone moves. But in a flash, Akira uses his stealth skill to strike them down unseen, leaving the bandits unconscious on the ground. A few minutes later, they subdue the rest and free the girl. Akira mentions overhearing that the bandits plan to deliver the princess to someone named Gran. One of the guards confesses that a noble from the Beastkin territory might be involved. Akira assures the others they can reach the port safely without further protection. Later, when they arrive at the port, Akira reminds everyone to keep training once they reach land. Knight mentions there's a labyrinth near their next destination, though it'll take days before they can return to the mainland, so they should rest first. Amelia, thrilled to be on a ship for the first time, looks forward to spending romantic moments with Akira. But to her disappointment, he sits down to read the books the king had given him to learn more about the kingdom, leaving her frustrated as her romantic hopes fade away. After several days, they finally reach the port of Uruk. Akira observes how humans live there and starts to understand how things work on this continent. But while walking through an alley, 3 beastmen block their path and order him to hand over the elf. Akira tells Amelia not to move and steps forward. The beastmen mock him for being a human trying to act brave, and Akira quickly realizes that humans are despised in this land. Without hesitation, he uses his shadow magic to blind them, allowing the group to escape without a fight. Knight praises his master as they move through the city, but Amelia notices that all the beastmen seem to fear Knight. He explains that black cats are hated here because of something that happened long ago. After a while, they find an inn. Amelia blushes when she notices there's only one bed and suggests that one bed is enough for 2. But Akira insists it's unnecessary. Knight laughs and says he'll give them privacy since he has someone important to meet, teasing Akira that a real man shouldn't waste opportunities like this, leaving him flustered. Later, when Amelia goes to shower, Akira pretends to be asleep. She blushes, lies down beside him, and wishes him a good rest while he lies there, wide awake and awkward. The next morning, Knight wakes them up, teasing that they must have had an interesting night. Before they can respond, he tells them to get ready because a guest is about to arrive. Moments later, a man named Chrome appears, whom Knight introduces as the greatest blacksmith on the continent, and possibly the world. Chrome says he couldn't ignore a request from the nightmare of Adoria. Akira thanks him for coming and introduces himself. Chrome examines Akira's katana, saying it's been overstrained in the labyrinth, though he can repair it depending on the materials and payment. Akira promises to gather everything needed and also requests throwing weapons, which surprises Chrome, who realizes Akira is an assassin. Despite his skill, Chrome calls him immature and hopes he won't damage the new weapons. Amelia gets irritated by his tone, but Knight explains that Chrome used to be part of the hero's party and is a veteran fighter. Chrome leaves a list of materials and takes the sword, telling them to find him once they've gathered what he needs. Knight assures Akira that Chrome is the best and most reliable smith alive. When Akira asks how they'll get the money, Knight suggests exploring the city's labyrinth and selling any extra materials. Amelia then says she'll go talk with Chrome, and Akira agrees but tells Knight to follow her discreetly for safety while he investigates the labyrinth. Meanwhile, Amelia speaks with Chrome, saying she knows the hero's last mission failed. They never defeated the Demon King, and only the hero and a beastman survived. Chrome apologizes, explaining there was an elf in the party who didn't make it. Amelia says she's not here to blame him, but she wants him to train her to fight. Chrome refuses, saying none of his apprentices ever survived his training. They all broke. He also reminds Knight, whom he calls the Nightmare of Adoria, that he only takes blacksmithing requests. Knight corrects him, saying Amelia asked on her own, and not to call him by that name. Amelia then asks why he's called that, since Akira had given him the name Knight. Knight explains it all started about 100 years ago in Adoria, the most prosperous city on the continent. The Demon King sent him there to cause chaos so the beastmen would flee, giving the Demon King more territory. But Knight lost control of his demonic instincts, went berserk, and destroyed almost the entire city. That's why the beastmen call him the Nightmare of Adoria and fear black cats to this day. Akira overhears everything through their telepathic link, realizing this was the vision he saw when they formed their pact. Knight tells Chrome that he's not the same as before. Now he's a familiar serving Akira, and unlike the past, he fears dying before fulfilling his purpose. Chrome listens in silence, then admits he holds no grudge. After all, when he returned from the hero's battle, He visited his sister's grave, where Knight had once offered his life so Chrome could take revenge. But Chrome refused, saying Knight was only a tool of the Demon King and not the one who killed his sister. The real killer was a noble of their own race named Graham, who slaughtered others while trying to flee the city. Chrome never forgot that name. Amelia asks if he ever got his revenge, but Chrome says no, because, over time, he realized his sister wouldn't have wanted him to follow a path of hatred. Amelia sympathizes, saying she understands that feeling, imagining what her sister would think just to escape her own guilt. Her words anger Chrome, but she admits it's because she once did the same, hiding behind her sister to avoid her real feelings until Akira made her face them. Chrome says nothing for a moment, then tells her to leave for the day, and she does. Meanwhile, Akira reaches the labyrinth, but before he can enter, a massive explosion shakes the ground. Powerful magic bursts out of the entrance, followed by waves of monsters. Amelia and Knight rush to protect nearby civilians. Confused, Amelia fights back with all her strength until a familiar voice calls her name. It's Orin, the man who once deceived her sister. He introduces himself properly, saying the Demon King ordered him to spare her life, though he'll leave her unconscious for now. Moments later, Knight informs Akira through telepathy that a demon has taken Amelia. Furious, Akira rushes into the labyrinth, picks up a fallen sword, and cuts down every monster in sight. Knight apologizes for failing to protect her, but Akira, consumed by rage, says he'll destroy that power no matter what. He orders Knight to get far away, then unleashes his shadow magic, absorbing all the demonic energy and monsters around him. The surge is so intense it causes him unbearable pain, but he doesn't stop. After absorbing everything in his path, the power overwhelms him, and he collapses unconscious, his shadow flickering in silence. Knight watches from the sky as Akira suddenly collapses. Before he can even react, the system's voice explains that Akira has drained more mana than his body can handle. Healing shadow magic automatically kicks in, wrapping him in dark mist that glows faintly as it repairs the damage. Knight just hovers there, stunned, watching the impossible happen right before his eyes. A full day later, Akira jolts awake in Crow's house, completely unaware of how much time has passed. When Knight tells him he was out cold for more than a day, Akira's first instinct isn't to rest, it's to move. He rushes downstairs to thank Crow for the bed and instantly asks for the bill, because that's just how his mind works. But Crow reminds him there's a far bigger issue at hand. Amelia's been missing for over a day, and by now, she could already be in the demon continent. Akira doesn't care. He's ready to storm the Demon Lord's castle if he has to. Crow tries to calm him down, but Akira insists he's calm, even though he's clearly not. The blacksmith sighs and tells him that calm people don't forget their weapons. Akira's about to yell that his sword's still being repaired when Crow gestures to the table, where Akira's blade has been reforged into two sleek daggers. Shorter, lighter, and perfect for an assassin. Crow even covered the repair costs, but warns him to pay back the debt later, and receives one last gift, a mysterious ring once forged by one of the legendary heroes. The ring bears the words, "I will lead you everywhere." Akira slips it on, and instantly, a beam of light shoots out, pointing straight toward the dungeon. Crow remarks that the demons haven't taken Amelia across the border yet, and Akira wastes no time. He jumps on a Knight's back and takes off. Knight reminds him not to be reckless this time, and Akira admits he'll try, though they both know he won't. Meanwhile, in a dark dungeon, Amelia lies chained and exhausted. A cheerful demon named Orim keeps her company, talking far too much for someone guarding a prisoner. He reveals that he's been experimenting with spells meant to control monsters, but on her, the magic only left her paralyzed. It fascinates him. Since he's only a third-grade demon, he can't teleport, so he's waiting for his boss to come pick her up. Until then, he's content chatting with his captive, claiming he won't hurt her because she needs to be in perfect condition when delivered to the Demon Lord. Back outside, Akira's ring keeps glowing brighter, guiding him straight to the dungeon. Just then, a hooded figure appears, a girl insisting she wants to help rescue Amelia. Akira recognizes her as the stalker who had been tailing them earlier and immediately grabs her, demanding answers. She introduces herself as Leah, the first princess of the Beast Folk Nation, and explains her tracking skill led her here. She claims she's been investigating the demons' movements after hearing they were targeting Amelia. Akira's suspicious until Knight confirms she's telling the truth. Still, Akira tests her with his World Eye skill, learning that she's being honest. When he asks about her spirit barrier ability, Leah admits she can cast barriers on moving targets, a rare and valuable trait. That alone earns her a spot on the rescue team. She also reveals that the Demon Lord is after Amelia's resurrection magic. Shocking Akira, he immediately calls Knight to move out, bringing Leah along despite his doubts. Back in the dungeon, Amelia questions Orum's motives. Why would demons want resurrection magic when they're already near immortal? Orum shrugs, saying he doesn't see the point either. It's slow, limited, and can't revive someone long dead. Yet he casually mentions that once he kills Akira, Amelia won't be able to bring him back anyway, since she already used the spell on herself. The way he says it, like he's discussing the weather, sends chills down her spine. On their way to the dungeon, Akira and Leah talk more. She reveals that her village was wiped out by a modified black slime, and that her family was likely used as a human sacrifice in the same ritual that summoned Akira to this world. Despite that, she doesn't hold any grudges against him, only against the king and princess behind it all. Akira admits his own hatred toward them, realizing they may have far darker motives than the supposed war against demons. Knight joins in, explaining that demons haven't invaded anyone for a century. The first demon lord was only branded evil because other races pushed him to the barren continent. Later, a vengeful human killed a demon lord's wife, sparking another cycle of hatred. Akira listens quietly but promises that if the demon lord truly ordered Amelia's kidnapping, he'll make him pay, though he also agrees not all demons are the same. Knight explains that every floor must be cleared of monsters before moving deeper. Akira groans, deciding to speed things up with shadow magic. But Knight warns he'll exhaust himself too soon and proposes another way. He'll handle the smaller monsters while Akira conserves his strength. The catch? Knight might lose control if he fights too hard. Akira tells him not to worry. Knight transforms into his massive three-headed form, unleashing waves of fire that wipe out hordes of monsters. The walls shake as they advance, and for a moment, Knight starts to lose himself to the bloodlust. Akira keeps calling his name, grounding him until he regains control. The duo tear through each level until they reach the chamber where Amelia is held. Orum smirks at the sight, recognizing the demon lord's right-hand beast and the assassin from the human world. Knight apologizes to Akira, saying he can't help for a while after that transformation. Akira doesn't care. He's focused solely on freeing Amelia. Orum summons his spear and mocks him, promising a quick death. Akira draws his daggers, declaring the opposite. The fight erupts instantly. Akira darts in and out of the shadows, but Orum blocks every strike with ease. He toys with him, slashing Akira's leg and laughing as the human grows weaker. Then, just when it looks hopeless, Akira activates his shadow magic. The blood he spilled on the ground begins to move, spawning beasts from the darkness itself, wolves made of his own mana. They swarm Orum, biting and clawing, giving Akira a precious opening. He lunges forward, slashing Orum's arm and leg, forcing the demon to drop his weapon. But victory doesn't come easy. Akira's mana is nearly gone, and Orum plays a sinister tune on his flute, summoning hordes of monsters to his aid. They charge up a combined attack, ready to erase Akira on the spot. Leah throws herself forward, casting her spirit barrier with everything she has. The barrier absorbs the blast, then reflects it right back, blowing the monsters apart before she collapses from exhaustion. Amelia, finally able to move again, rushes to Akira's side. Orum, bleeding and half-kneeling, mocks Akira for hesitating to kill him. Akira's hand trembles. He still can't bring himself to strike down something that looks so human. And just when he's about to decide, the air distorts. A dark portal opens, and the presence that steps through makes the entire dungeon tremble. Orum's superior, a second-grade demon, has arrived. Furious that his subordinate has failed, now Akira, Amelia, Knight, and Leah stand frozen, staring at a new enemy whose power dwarfs everything they've faced so far. The real battle is just beginning. Akira stares down Mihiro, but the knight quickly warns him not to pick a fight with this demon. Akira agrees, knowing full well that Mihiro is on a completely different level. Seeing Orum barely standing, Mihiro casually pushes him to the back of the room with a spell, then shifts his attention straight to Akira. With a snap of his fingers, he shatters Leah's barrier. Akira steps in front of her and tells her to stay back, and Mihiro smirks, saying he's got no interest in her anyway. But before Akira can move, Mihiro flicks another spell toward Amelia. It pierces right through her chest, making her scream in pain. Shocked, Akira runs to her side, only for Mihiro to taunt him, saying she isn't dead, just suffering. Akira's rage grows, but Mihiro keeps provoking him. Knight urges Akira not to fall for the demon's mind games. With no plan, low mana, and no escape route, Akira wonders how he's supposed to protect Amelia now. Mihiro seals the exits with powerful barrier magic, making sure Akira can't run. Suddenly, Mihiro asks what Akira's first name means in Japanese. Akira freezes, shocked, and Mihiro confirms he's also from Japan. Akira barely gets to process that before Mihiro fires another spell. Akira dodges, but the blast curves around and grazes his skin. When Akira tries to counterattack, Mihiro forces him to dodge a deadly disc slicing through the air. Akira quickly coats a tiny area of his skin with shadow magic to block another projectile. But Mihiro notices how weak the magic is in its current state. Since the higher-ups will get angry if he's late, Mihiro decides to finish things. Then Knight steps forward, announcing he's regained some mana. Mihiro calls him a traitor, but Knight boldly declares that Akira, not the Demon Lord, is his true master. Through telepathy, he begs Akira to end their contract so he can sacrifice himself. Shocked, Akira refuses to abandon his partner. Mihiro gets curious about their private talk, but lets them continue. After thinking it through, Akira takes the risk and asks Knight to fight with him instead. Knight thinks he's being reckless, but appreciates the loyalty. In an instant, Knight transforms into a copy of Saren. Mihiro is stunned, and Knight explains this is the only form powerful enough to stand against him. But he warns Akira he can't hold the form for long. They rush into battle together, and Knight summons Saren's strongest technique, a giant hammer of light. Mihiro blocks with a barrier, but the hammer shatters it, forcing him to rain thunderbolts down onto his two opponents as they dodge. Akira wraps himself in shadows and closes the distance. He attacks, but Mihiro dodges again. Akira turns and destroys a magic circle just before Mihiro reappears behind him. Knight jumps into counterattack. With Knight's signal, both strike Mihiro together, finally managing to wound his back. Knight admits he's almost out of mana, so Akira prepares to end the fight. But Mihiro tells him he's not done yet. He snaps his fingers until a hand suddenly pierces Akira's chest. Akira turns to see Amelia, controlled like a puppet. As the spell breaks, she realizes what she's done and collapses into tears. Akira hits the floor, barely breathing. Knight checks his condition and understands Mihiro used a control spell earlier. Mihiro proudly explains that he can use the full strength of any controlled target. Akira, fading fast, refuses to die and leave Amelia behind. Just as his life is slipping away, his shadow magic activates on its own. It heals his body, deflects Mihiro's attack, and lifts him into the air. Even Mihiro is stunned, watching Akira's body move on its own. Akira, controlled by the system, meets Mihiro's next attack head-on and injures him. Mihiro throws a blade scythe, but Akira blocks it with a wall of shadows and restrains him, and threatens him to release Amelia. Mihiro arrogantly declares that no human can defeat a demon. The system fires back, saying humans lose because they give up halfway. Furious, Mihiro attempts to kill Amelia. That snaps Akira back to his senses, and he rushes to shield her. Mihiro's needle spell shoots toward them, but the projectiles suddenly freeze mid-air and vanish. Crow appears out of nowhere and neutralizes the spell. Everyone is stunned. Mihiro asks how Crow is still alive despite beastmen having short lifespans. Crow says he may be old, but he's not weak. Mihiro realizes he's outmatched and flees with Orem. After the fight, Leah asks Crow why he helped them, but he says he was just passing through. Akira collapses from exhaustion and later wakes up in Crow's home. Knight explains he was unconscious for 3 days, and Akira smiles softly knowing Amelia cared for him the whole time. Crow calls in the people waiting outside, revealing Akira's classmates. Jules explains that he came to the beast folk continent for weapons and removed the king's curse from everyone. Asahina apologizes for not helping during Akira's curse, but Akira brushes it off. Sakasa steps in, and Akira acknowledges how capable he is. When asked about the palace, Jules admits he was fired after the Knight Order disbanded. Asahina invites Akira to join their party, but Knight immediately rejects the idea. Their bickering forces Akira to separate them so he can talk properly. Sakasa reveals their plan to defeat the Demon Lord so they can gain the king's favor and learn how to return home. But Akira remembers the king sacrificing innocent lives to summon them and says they can't trust him. He still needs to avenge Saren. Akira explains that demons use teleportation circles, so one might lead back home. He plans to infiltrate demon territory, but has other priorities first. When the classmates offer to help, he declines, warning them he won't be able to protect them. Hearing him talk about returning home, Amelia quietly leaves the room. Akira follows her and finds her standing at a cliff overlooking the sea. She says she always knew they'd part someday, but wasn't prepared for it. She apologizes for hurting him, but he reassures her she wasn't at fault. Then she confesses something darker, that after the pain and guilt, she felt strangely happy knowing he'd carry a scar made by her. Akira tells her she's special to him. She denies it, saying feelings can change, but Akira insists that uncertainty doesn't make their emotions any less real. He takes out his sword and places it in her hand. In his world, couples exchange rings, so he presses his own finger against the blade, drawing blood to form a ring. He tells her he loves her. She cries and admits she feels the same. They exchange blood rings and seal their vows with a kiss, promising to protect and love each other forever. Back at the house, Asahi and the others start wondering how they can finally prove to Akira that they're not dead weight. One boy suddenly brings up a rumor he heard at the guild. Apparently there's a nearby city holding its annual festival, and each year the champion of the tournament mysteriously disappears. People whisper that the winners are kidnapped and sold on the black market. As soon as the group hears that, they all arrive at the same idea. If they can crack the case and catch whoever's behind it, Akira will notice their worth at last. The next morning, they invite Akira and his group to visit the festival. Amelia only asks if there will be food stalls, and once they tell her yes, she happily tags along. When they finally reach the city, Amelia excitedly tells Akira that the beauty contest reward must be food, and she's ready to take part in it. But the moment she says that, Akira starts suspecting that something is off. Right then, they overhear a customer complaining to a receptionist about racism. Akira goes over to check what's going on and discovers the girl is actually a demon who's upset because demons aren't allowed in the beauty contest. Akira is stunned to see a demon acting so casually in public, but Knight instantly recognizes who she really is. The demon girl introduces herself as Laddie. Laddie suddenly clings to him, begging him to defend her. But Amelia walks in and pulls them apart immediately. The receptionist asks Amelia for proof of identity if she wants to join the contest. Once Amelia shows her name tag, the receptionist is shocked to learn she's the Princess of Elves. Amelia returns to scold Akira for flirting after promising to stay with her forever. Laddie apologizes for the misunderstanding, then storms back to the receptionist asking why demons are banned while humans and elves are allowed. While she complains, Akira is still apologizing to Amelia, who tells him it's fine, just don't flirt with the demon girl. Akira insists he wasn't flirting and steps in to settle the argument. He asks the receptionist to let Laddie participate and promises to take responsibility if anything goes wrong. Laddie thanks him, and because he's with the elf princess, the receptionist agrees. Soon after, Laddie notices Knight and greets him slyly, revealing she knows him from before. Akira is shocked they know each other, but Knight promises to explain later. Meanwhile, Laddie and Amelia hit it off and decide to enjoy the festival together. In the market, Laddie starts charming random people, asking them to vote for her in the contest. The townsfolk freeze at the sight of a demon openly revealing her identity, but Laddie stays confident. She even signs a man's shirt using the script of the first hero. Even some of Akira's simp classmates get in line, leaving Akira unsure what to make of her behavior. Knight tells him Laddie is simply weird, and Amelia adds that despite being a demon, she doesn't give off bad vibes. As Akira considers how weird Amelia is herself, he notices girls staring at him and giggling. When he turns, they scream, calling him the silent assassin. Akira doubts they were even looking at him until Crow confirms it. He explains Akira became famous after wiping out a horde of monsters on his own. Akira admits it was flashy for an assassin, but Knight and Amelia say it's what makes him special. Crow then remembers that the guild gave him a yellow tag for Akira as an out-of-turn promotion for his actions during the demon attack. Amelia tells him he can use the yellow tag for identification. Akira acts jealous because Amelia's silver rank is higher, but she proudly explains that her sister, Kilika, is a gold rank, one of only 4 in the world. Some of Akira's classmates overhear and claim their yellow rank too, offering to teach him how to make money as an adventurer. Akira ignores them. Then some girls call Amelia to join them for snacks. Sato drags the boys off to gamble, leaving Akira alone. Akira orders Knight to follow Amelia and keep people away from her, and Knight obeys immediately, so much so that the crowd clears a path for the black cat. Akira then asks why Crow even came along since he doesn't seem like the festival type. Crow asks if Akira knows he had a little sister. Akira says he learned that from Amelia and Knight. Crow explains he hasn't pursued revenge for her death, not only because she wouldn't want it, but because he's too old now. Akira insists he doesn't look old, but Crow says aging isn't visible in beastmen. His strength is gone, and the man who killed his sister, a noble named Graham, is always surrounded by strong guards that as soon as Akira hears the name Graham, he remembers that it matches the mastermind behind the kidnapping rumors. Crow then asks why Akira thinks demons immediately targeted Amelia the moment he entered the country. Akira freezes as Crow explains that Graham is likely selling information to demons, since he controls the city's records of who enters and leaves. Akira grows furious knowing Graham caused the attack on Amelia, but he asks Crow if he's certain. Crow confirms he checked while Akira was asleep. When Akira asks why he's mentioning this now, Crow bluntly says he wants Akira to owe him so he can make a request. Akira is stunned, but Crow tells him not to decide yet. Gil arrives, saying it's almost time for the beauty contest. Using Crow's name gets them VIP seats. Asahi remarks that privacy is good because Akira would attract too much attention otherwise. Akira stares coldly at the stage. When Amelia goes on stage, Akira smiles as she winks at him. Then Laddie appears, setting up magic stones that turn into disco lights before introducing herself. Akira asks Knight if she's really a demon acting like that. The results come out as a tie between Amelia and Laddie. Laddie then joins Akira's group, claiming she tried her best but couldn't beat the elf princess. Akira tells her she should be proud of tying with Amelia, making Knight nervous. Laddie eagerly asks if he's interested in her now, but Akira says he only cares for Amelia. Laddie vows to win next year, but Knight warns her to stop drawing attention because her father won't like it. Akira demands to know her true identity, and Knight nervously reveals that Laddie is the daughter of the Demon Lord, shocking everyone. Meanwhile, the noble Graham watches from afar, keeping a close eye on Laddie and Amelia. He orders his men to watch Amelia strictly, happy that he can do what the demons failed to do and profit from it. When Akira uses World Eye on Laddie, he discovers her stats are insane. Amelia tells him she always knew Laddie was strong. She teases him for not using World Eye earlier, explaining that some people can suppress their mana, and Laddie was doing just that. Akira recalls all the horrors he has seen with World Eye and hesitates to answer her. Just then, Gil returns and announces that he booked rooms. Laddie declines one, saying humans would be more comfortable without her nearby. She tells Amelia she'll see her tomorrow for the reward and leaves. Back in their rooms, Sato reveals he entered the male beauty contest and won. Amelia asks if the prize is also food, and Sato promises to give it to her if it is. The boys go to the bath while Amelia asks Akira to bathe with her. He refuses because he can't enter the women's bath. Crow takes this moment to remind Akira of their earlier talk, but Amelia drags Akira away, saying he needs sleep after being awake for 2 nights. Akira insists he's fine, but Amelia uses magic to put him to sleep, then storms out to confront Crow. She demands to know what he told Akira. Crow calmly says it was just business, but Amelia declares she won't let him force Akira into anything. Crow suddenly brings up the Demon Orm fight, asking why Akira failed to finish him. Amelia snaps that it's none of his business. Crow argues Akira is mentally weak right now, and the only thing that can push him to kill someone is saving Amelia. This leaves her shaken, wondering if Akira can truly cross that line for her. The next morning, Amelia and Laddie head to collect their reward with Sato and the others. They're all concerned about Akira sleeping so long, but Asahi thinks it's the perfect chance to prove themselves. They reach the location of the ceremony, an abandoned building. Before they can react, assassins appear and order Amelia to come quietly because Graham summoned her. Amelia refuses to obey a greedy man who once killed his own citizens to escape danger. The assassins prepare to take her by force, but Amelia doesn't give them a chance. She uses gravity magic to pin them down. She demands to know why Graham wants her. One assassin insists he doesn't know, but she sees the lie using World Eye and tightens the gravity spheres until he talks. He confesses that past winners had their organs stolen and sold. Her rage spikes, and she's ready to crush them. But Laddie suddenly hugs her from behind and begs her to stop. She says that even if they're bad guys, they still have a story, and she refuses to let Amelia kill in front of her. Coincidentally, Akira is somehow linked to Amelia and sees everything happening. He's relieved Laddie stopped her because he didn't want to see Amelia kill anyone. Later on, Oda has a quiet chat with Jill and asks him how he knows Crow. Jill explains that a long time ago, Crow used to take in disciples, and one of them was Jill's mother. But she couldn't handle the brutal training and eventually lost her mind. Since Jill had no one else left, Crow took him in and raised him. Jill insists he never blamed Crow for what happened, because his mother chose that path herself. And Crow has helped countless people, including Oda. He also mentions he already knows about the request Crow made. Crow may look healthy, but he doesn't have much time left. So Oda should make his decision soon. Just then, Knight returns with info from the investigation Oda assigned. She reports that a surveillance device was planted under Graham's orders, and its purpose was to track the contest winners, meaning Amelia was among the targets. Hearing that, Oda realizes he might have to deal with Graham after all. A little while later, everyone else returns to the inn. Since they're all here, Oda asks Amelia, Asahina, Tsukasa, and Crow to follow him to the back room because he has something important to discuss. Asahina immediately asks if this means Oda plans to join them after all. But before Oda answers, he asks Asahina and Tsukasa if it's true that they participated in the beauty contest because they suspected the winners would be targeted. Tsukasa admits they wanted to prove their worth by preventing the kidnapping, but Amelia handled everything on her own before they could even step in. Oda tells them he already knew their capabilities, so they didn't need to prove themselves. However, before he can decide whether he'll travel with them from here on out, he has to make sure Graham can never target Amelia again. Crow is pleased to hear that Oda intends to deal with Graham, so he tells him Graham is currently in Uruk City acting as Guild Master of the Adventurers Guild. Crow adds that if Oda fulfills his request, he will personally guide him through the Demon Continent. Since Oda will be heading to Barrack afterward, Joel offers to take the rest of the hero party and wait near the outskirts of the demon territory so they can regroup. He pulls out a map and asks where they should meet. Asahina points to a good spot, but Crow instantly rejects it. The others don't understand why, but Jill recalls that Crow's mother lives near that area, and he probably wants to avoid seeing her. Oda is confused because Jill earlier said Crow didn't have long to live, yet his mother is still alive. Jill says it's a long story. Crow suggests a different rendezvous point where his old party kept a safe house, and everyone agrees. Later that evening, Amelia and Crow finish packing for the trip to Uruk. Since Amelia has Crow alone for a moment, she tells him there are two things she wants to say. First, she asks him not to dump his burdens onto Oda, but Crow replies that he simply made a request. Whether Oda sees it as a burden isn't his concern. Amelia is irritated by his attitude, but she can't press him because she has a request of her own. She asks Crow to take her as his disciple, even though he already refused once. He asks what makes her think he'll change his mind now. Amelia pleads again, saying she's being targeted, and she doesn't want to become the reason Oda is forced to do something he doesn't want to do. Crow can see she's serious, so as long as she doesn't break like the others, training her might be worth it. But a little while later, Oda returns, and it's time to leave. But before they depart, Jill hands Oda a small bag he forgot back when he collected the things Saren prepared for him. Jill doesn't know what's inside, but if Saren wanted Oda to have it, it must be important. After that, Oda and the others set out, while Tsukasa and the hero party prepare for their own journey to the Demon Continent point 3 days later. In Oda's carriage, Amelia is still training her ancient counterspell technique. Crow tells her she can stop for the night. Amelia collapses into sleep immediately, and Oda is shocked because he's never seen her this exhausted. Crow says it's impressive she made it this far. Most of his former disciples gave up by day 2, but he wouldn't expect anything less from the famed elf princess. He explains that the technique, recreated from the first hero, lets the user instantly generate a counterspell to neutralize any magic on sight. To learn it, one must master an ancient language where each character contains magic capable of driving people insane. The only reason Amelia can handle it is because she crafted a comprehension skill to ease the mental load. Oda then asks how Crow managed to learn it himself, and Crow says he simply had a lot of time. Beast folk normally live twice as long as humans, but Crow's case is special. His mother took a strange drug while pregnant with him, causing him to live twice as long as even beast folk should. Living longer sounds like a blessing, but Crow says that at this point, he wishes it would end. The only thing keeping him alive is his unresolved revenge for his sister. Oda can't relate as a human with a lifespan of about 100 years, but he can tell Crow has endured more than most. Meanwhile, night is gathering intel in the city. During a rooftop break, she notices Laddie sitting nearby. As soon as Laddie spots her, she bounds over and asks what she's doing alone. Night nervously explains that she's on a mission for Oda. Laddie, excited, asks to join since she's bored, and Night can't find a way to refuse. The next morning, Oda's group arrives in Uruk. Crow says he'll arrange lodging, so Oda and Amelia can sightsee. Oda likes the idea of spending time with Amelia, but he admits he has zero sense of direction and might get lost like Zoro. Crow says he already planned for that and contacted Leia to guide them, so Oda and Amelia should wait at the central fountain plaza. Crow heads off to handle his business, and since they have time to kill, Oda suggests treating this outing as a proper date. On the way, they browse food stalls, and Oda tells Amelia she can get whatever she wants as a reward for working so hard. Soon they reach the fountain, and moments later, Leia runs over excitedly to greet them. She says everyone at the castle has been waiting for their arrival. Oda is stunned and asks why. Leia explains that her foster father, King Exam, heard that Princess Amelia was visiting and prepared a banquet in her honor. Upon arrival, they are introduced to the king, who warmly welcomes Princess Amelia. He says the banquet will start soon, but first, He wants to thank her for saving Leia back in the dungeon. Amelia says she doesn't need thanks. The incident happened because she was kidnapped. And the people who really saved Leia were Oda and Crow. The king says he'll thank Crow later, but completely glosses over Oda. Oda finds it funny that he gets ignored even though he's standing right there. But then the king turns to him and says he has a request. Oda listens, but immediately warns he may refuse. The knight captain takes offense at Oda's tone, but the king orders him to stand down. He explains the request. He wants Oda to assassinate someone. Oda refuses instantly. The king tries to justify it, saying the target is Graham, a criminal who disgraced the royal family. But even though Oda already plans to deal with Graham, he won't do it because the king told him to. The king becomes desperate, offering rewards and protection. But Oda says he doesn't need protection from people weaker than him. This enrages the knight captain, who demands permission to duel Oda. The king agrees, and Oda accepts. In the arena, before the fight begins, Oda tosses his sword to Amelia, saying he won't need it. This is a chance to test the weapons Crow made for him. The battle starts with the knight captain launching rocks at Oda. The captain is fast and strong, but Oda expected that. After playing around, he jumps straight at him, slices his axe apart, and puts a dagger to his throat, ending the match instantly. Once Oda is declared the winner, Amelia asks the king to drop the assassination request. He agrees, but he also remarks that it's strange Amelia would choose a human partner, since her lifespan is many times longer and she'll eventually have to watch Oda die. Amelia's expression darkens. She's been avoiding this thought, but the king's words cut deep. Later that evening, Oda and Amelia travel by boat to meet Crow. Oda notices Amelia's sadness and asks what's wrong, but she brushes it off and tells him she's happy just being with him. Oda says he should be the one thanking her. She left her family behind to follow him. Amelia tears up, saying she doesn't know what she'd do without him, and promises that if he ever dies, she'll die with him. Oda is confused about why she's suddenly saying things like that. After reaching Crow, he leads them to the luxurious hotel room he booked. Amelia is thrilled, especially seeing the massive bed, and invites Oda to test it out with her. But Oda declines, saying he still has books to finish. He mentions he plans to avenge Captain Saren after the Graham matter, and Crow says that aligns perfectly. Oda is stunned and asks what he means. Crow explains that Saren was killed by the king of Reddest Night Ravens, killers supplied by Graham, meaning that without Graham's involvement, Saren would still be alive. Akira hears the truth about Graham, and it hits him harder than anything before. For a moment, he genuinely considers ending Graham with his own hands. Crow doesn't hold back either. He reminds Akira that he already asked him to assassinate Graham earlier, and now there are even more reasons to do it. That alone makes Amelia snap. She demands that Crow take back his request because it's downright insulting to Akira. But Crow simply says if he wants to refuse, he's free to do so, but Crow will only guide him through the demon continent if Akira fulfills this job. He won't charge any fees for repairing Akira's weapons. He won't take any materials. And on top of that, Akira won't owe him anything for saving their lives in the dungeon. Amelia tries to shut Crow up, but Akira signals her not to play his lawyer. He tells her it's his decision. She's about to lecture him about why he should never kill, but Akira cuts her off and says that if Graham really caused Saren's death, then he deserves to be punished. Plus, Graham is targeting Amelia now, so eliminating him early would be the smartest choice. Crow continues, explaining that the king didn't lie. He really did send assassins after Graham. Amelia argues it doesn't matter, but Akira asks her again to quiet down. Crow goes on, saying that Graham is guarded by the strongest team on the continent, all juiced up on magic drugs. These boosters turn normal guards into demon-level monsters while stripping them of their free will. Graham can create a full army of obedient killing machines whenever he wants, and that's what makes him so dangerous. Akira realizes that these drugs must be what killed Saren, and Crow agrees, saying even Saren couldn't handle a group on those boosters. Crow insists that Graham must be stopped immediately because he's growing more dangerous by the day. Graham smuggles slaves and other goods to demons in exchange for rare materials from the demon continent. Those materials fuel his drug production and allow him to expand his brainwashed army even further. Hearing all this, Akira finally grasps the scale of the threat and steps out to think things through. Amelia follows him, worried sick, while Crow reflects that no matter what Akira chooses, he's going to hurt himself or someone he cares about. The next morning, when Akira approaches Graham, he still looks troubled. That's when Leo appears, apologizing for what happened in court. Akira tells her it wasn't her fault, though he was annoyed at the king. But Leah explains that she's apologizing because she couldn't stop her father from dragging Akira into his dirty politics. Crow jumps in, curious, and asks if the king also requested Akira to assassinate Graham. Akira confirms, and adds that he turned the king down. Crow explains why. If Graham's crimes became public, the king would lose respect, but if he handled it through official channels and failed, Graham's influence would skyrocket. So he wanted a disposable pawn like Akira to kill Graham quietly. Leah apologizes again and says her father even insulted Amelia, and that finally gets a reaction out of Akira. But Amelia brushes it off. Leah begs for a chance to make it up to them by showing them around the city, and thanks to Crow's push, they accept. She even invites Crow along, and as she guides Akira and Amelia through hidden parts of the city, she quietly thanks Crow for supporting her. That's when Amelia suddenly notices something. She tells Leah and Crow to go off on their own because she wants some private time with Akira. Crow immediately understands and heads off with Leah. But once they're alone, Akira asks Amelia why she did that. She bluntly replies that Leah is obviously into Crow, so she was just helping her out. Akira is shocked because of the age gap, but Amelia shrugs it off. Age is just a number for beastmen. Besides, she wanted a serious conversation with Akira. She takes him to a bridge and asks him to refuse Crow's request because they can reach the demon continent without him. She brings up Laddie's words about every villain having their own story and why no one deserves to be killed lightly. Meanwhile, Laddie is tagging along with Knight on his recon mission. Knight can't believe she's still with him, but Laddie insists she's doing anything to avoid being near her dad. Knight had only heard rumors that she didn't get along with him, but he didn't expect it to be this bad. Laddie rants about how even if her dad is the demon lord, he shouldn't be able to bend the laws of the world. Knight asks for details, but she instantly forgets the conversation when she spots an inn and marches straight inside. She orders dry bread and chats with the receptionist, who assumes she's an adventurer looking for money. Laddie says she's testing her luck in the capital. The receptionist warns her that high-paying jobs there are deadly and there are rumors demons are involved. Laddie brushes that off. The receptionist then suggests she take a transport job to the human kingdom, low pay but safe. He also mentions that the guild master is relying on adventurers for transport instead of normal companies, meaning something shady must be going on. Laddie leaves the inn proudly, asking Knight what he thinks of her info-gathering skills. Knight is impressed, assuming she planned everything. They now know a lot about Guildmaster Gran, but Knight notes that Laddie would have been perfect if she hadn't left her autograph on the wall on the way out. Back in the city, Akira tells Amelia that Laddie's words were wise, but they won't stop him. He admits he already decided to get revenge for Saren long before meeting Amelia, and he has to kill Graham for her safety as well. Amelia assures him she's getting stronger and can handle anyone targeting her, but Akira isn't convinced. He says that if he refuses Crow's request, he'll die slowly, unable to achieve the revenge he desperately wants. With that, he ends the conversation and resumes their tour at the same time. Crow leads Leah out of the city. She asks where they're going, and he tells her she'll see once they arrive. She pouts, annoyed that he treats her like a kid. She complains he doesn't take her seriously and refuses to teach her inversion magic. Crow says he doesn't want to risk destroying her mind. Before she can respond, they arrive at a field of red spider lilies. Leah is amazed. It's her first time seeing them. Crow explains that they're from Akira's world and must have been brought over by a previous hero. Leah reaches to touch one, but Crow grabs her hand and warns her they're poisonous. He explains Akira once told him red spider lilies represent death and the afterlife, which is why they're beautiful. Leah softens and asks why he brought her here. Crow says he found them during a walk and wanted to show them to someone. She teases him that if he brought someone he likes here and confessed, they'd definitely accept. She insists that he'd be happier with a partner, but he cuts her off, saying he abandoned the idea of happiness the moment he chose revenge for his sister. His only purpose now is to destroy Graham. Leah is hurt but says nothing. Meanwhile, Sad's group nears the demon continent border. They hunt a bear since they're low on food, set up tents, and spread out to forage. Asahi and Sato rest, discussing how Gil is going above and beyond to help them. Exactly what Saren would have done. Sato suddenly brings up Akira. He admits he didn't like him on Earth either because Akira ignored him. Asahi tells him to chill, saying he probably wasn't even registered in Akira's memory. Sato says he's fine with that. He knows Akira isn't into people and is far stronger than them. They talk about how the so-called heroes from another world aren't really special. They're only slightly stronger than locals. But Akira? He's different. Not just in strength, but because he never doubts his decisions. Sato says he wants to reach that level someday, though now probably isn't the right time. Back in Euro, Akira and Amelia wait for Crow and Leah at the fountain. Amelia asks if he's really taking the assassination mission, and he says yes. He has too many reasons not to. She says she won't stop him if he's sure, but she can tell he's conflicted. Akira asks if she'd hate him for killing Graham, and she says she never will. But she wants him to love himself and avoid regret. Suddenly, a little girl throws a tantrum at a jewelry stall, and that sight sends Akira into a flashback that he remembers when his sister Yui threw a fit because she didn't want to leave their childhood home. Their dad had left to buy milk and never returned. They had to move into a cheaper apartment. Akira accepted reality and didn't hate his father. After all, the man spent years caring for his sick wife and raising 2 kids alone while working full-time. Yui hated the move, but Akira convinced her that they had to stick together now. Even when his cooking was burned, his mom and sister enjoyed it. They took turns making meals and tried their best to hold their family together. Akira felt relieved that not everything was lost. He snaps back to reality. Amelia asks what he was thinking, but he brushes it off. He realizes one of the reasons he hesitates to kill Graham is his family. If he returns home as a murderer, he feels he'd lose the right to be with them. Knight and Laddie arrive in the city of Uruk, and the moment they step inside, Knight wants to get straight to work and start gathering intel from Oda. Laddie, however, has other plans and keeps dragging her around to sightsee, pulling her from one distraction to another until the whole day slips by without them getting any real work done. Eventually, Laddie gets bored of just fooling around and decides it's finally time to be serious. She flags down a passing adventurer and casually tells him she heard the guild in this city hands out high-paying jobs, hoping he'll spill some details. The guy immediately warns her to stay away from the guild, saying that most of those high-paying jobs are tied to crime or demons. Curious, Laddie presses him about what kind of crimes he's talking about, but he shuts her down, saying it's not something you discuss out in the open. He admits he normally wouldn't even bring it up, but he got distracted by Laddie's melons. After he leaves, Knight suddenly receives an urgent telepathic order from Oda, meaning she has to move right away. Laddie promises that she'll actually help for real this time. The two of them soon arrive in front of Graham's mansion, and it's way bigger than they expected. Their objective is to secure proof of Graham's crimes, but breaking in during the day would be risky. Laddie suggests they come back after dark when security will be easier to slip past, and Knight agrees. While they wait, Laddie proposes heading to the guild to see what kind of information they can dig up. A short while later, they reach the guild, and just as Knight starts thinking about how to avoid drawing attention, Laddie strolls straight inside without a care in the world. Inside, 4 adventurers are drinking together and immediately notice her. They tell her the guild is already closed and order her to get lost. Laddie points out that if it's closed, then why are they still here? One of the guys explains that adventurers who do Graham's dirty work get free booze after hours. When Laddie asks what kind of work that is, he refuses to say and tells her again to leave. His friend, however, gets distracted by Laddie's curves and offers to talk if she does him a favor, getting way too handsy in the process. Laddie responds by politely but firmly slamming him down and walking out. Once they're outside, Knight scolds her for barging in without a plan. Laddie shrugs it off and says everything worked out because she picked up something important. She noticed that the inside ceiling of the guild doesn't match the exterior, which means there's likely a hidden room. With that in mind, she decides Knight should check it out and literally tosses her into one of the building's vents. Knight isn't thrilled about being thrown, but it gets her inside. While sneaking around, she finds a document lying on a table with some shocking information. She and Laddie rush back to Oda and hand it over. Oda thanks Laddie for her help and examines the paper, which details the production and distribution of an enhancement drug, a slave trade operation, and mercenary loans to the Kingdom of Redis. Everything Crow said about Graham turns out to be true, but Oda feels uneasy. The documents seem legitimate, yet it all feels too easy. Laddie agrees, pointing out that Graham could have easily hidden this in his massive mansion instead of the guild. Crow suggests the only explanation is that Graham intended for the documents to be stolen, just not by Knight. Meanwhile, Graham is shown meeting with his subordinates. He calmly tells them that important documents have gone missing, causing them to panic. Graham reassures them that he knows none of them stole it because he left it there intentionally to flush out a traitor. Although someone else got to the documents first, he already knows the man on the left has been leaking information, so he orders him executed on the spot. He then tells the rest to carry on as usual and instructs them to track down whoever stole the documents from the guild. Back at the hotel, Crow explains to Oda that this was likely an attempt to spark a war. One of Graham's subordinates was probably being paid to leak information to Redis. Before that could happen, Knight got the documents first. Oda asks why Reese would want a war, and Crow explains that the king of Reese plans to use the chaos to resurrect his dead wife. Amelia argues that resurrection magic only works shortly after death, but Crow reveals there's another spell called Equivalent Exchange, which can revive someone no matter how long they've been dead, at the cost of countless lives. Starting a war would be the fastest way to pay that price. Laddie hates the idea and says she won't allow it to happen. Knight questions how Crow knows so much about Redis. He explains that he's close to Jill, a former knight there, who was dismissed after stopping the king's previous attempt to start a war with Yamato. Oda becomes furious and starts tearing up the documents so they can't be used as justification for war. Crow tells him it's pointless because as long as Graham keeps trafficking people, more evidence will surface. He also reminds Oda that many of his classmates are still in the royal palace and would be sent to the front lines if war breaks out. Oda doesn't care much about most of them except Asakina, but letting them die would still weigh on him. If he takes Graham out, he can at least delay the war, but making that decision isn't easy. Sensing how tense things have gotten, Laddie tries to lighten the mood. She mentions a meat buffet promotion at a restaurant and a nearby bookstore, knowing Amelia loves food and Oda loves books. Everyone agrees to take a short break. Oda heads to the bookstore while Laddie and Amelia go for the buffet. While browsing books, a shady man snatches Oda's bag and runs, but Knight quickly retrieves it. She's surprised Oda let it happen, but he admits he has a lot on his mind. Knight joins him by the fountain, and Oda opens up about what Laddie once said, that killing someone is like stealing their story. Killing Graham makes logical sense, and Oda is an assassin, yet he's never actually killed anyone. He couldn't even kill the demon in the dungeon, so he wonders if he's cut out for this. Knight tells him that surviving is what matters and asks if he thinks she's just saying that to comfort him. She insists she means it, explaining that taking lives dries out your heart over time, and she doesn't want that fate for him. Still, she admits there are times when killing is unavoidable to protect those you love. Oda realizes she's right, though he still hesitates and calls himself weak. Knight tells him he's the strongest person she knows and that she'll stay by his side until the end. She even offers to kill Graham for him, but Oda refuses, saying he won't push his burden onto her. Instead, he decides to investigate Graham personally and judge whether he truly deserves death. With that decided, Oda gathers everyone and heads to the guild. Amelia wonders why they aren't going to Graham's mansion, but Oda explains Graham wouldn't agree to meet them there. Since he owns the guild, he's bound to show up eventually. Laddie stays outside, so she won't be recognized. Inside, a man at the counter tells Oda and Amelia to leave because it's no place for kids. Amelia bluntly tells him they just want to know when the guild master will arrive. Offended, the man attacks, but Oda catches his punch easily. Before things escalate, a woman in a wheelchair rolls out and stops him, apologizing. She then realizes they're Princess Amelia and the silent assassin. The man panics and apologizes repeatedly, serving them tea. He turns out to be a huge fan of Oda, though he didn't recognize him at first because Oda looks so ordinary. He even begs to become Oda's apprentice, but Oda declines. At that moment, the door opens, and Oda already knows who it is. With cameras all over the guild, Graham has clearly been watching them, and he steps forward, introducing himself with that unmistakable giant forehead. That wraps up today's recap. What do you think about this episode? Drop your thought in the comment, and if you liked this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you never miss the next one.